You're listening to Storage Nerds Podcast, where we unravel the best-kept secret of the real estate investing world, the storage industry. Join the grassroots guru in self-storage, Stacy Rossetti, in insightful discussions about finding, funding, and running these spaces, allowing you to yield the highest returns possible. Get your foot in the door on self-storage and discover how to properly purchase facilities, negotiate with sellers, and close the deal without worries. Start unpacking that investment wisdom with Stacy right now.
Okay, so we're going to talk about stage. So there's 4 stages in investing in self-storage. And all right, we're going to do a big circle. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, stage 1 is going to be, your goal is to get it under contract. Okay, this is your goal. So what are all the things that I have to do in order to get a storage facility under contract? We're going to talk about that today. Okay, and then stage 2 is what we call onboarding. It's like a brand new term, you know what I'm saying? Like back in the day, nobody said, I'm going to onboard this or onboard that, right? But now, like every company you're getting onboarded all the time, right? So onboarding is that in-between stage between getting a facility under contract and actually closing on the deal. So stage 3 is closing and owning, right? And then stage 4 is automations. Okay, automations. Automate. Okay. All right. So these are the 4 stages. I go over all these extensively inside the course. We talk a lot about this in Storage Nerds. I have some videos on, videos everywhere on YouTube and stuff about it. So you can always check that out. But today, and then stage 2, I didn't include this, but it's really like the funding part. So onboarding and funding. Okay. So today we're going to talk about stage 1, and I'm going to talk about how I get this done, but I don't do any of the work. Okay. All right. How's that possible? How could you get something under contract and not do any of the work? This is something that I learned like 10 years ago. I've been doing it. I've been investing in real estate now since 2011. And, back in the day when I first got started investing in real estate, I thought I had to do all the work, right? So I was going out looking at properties, and I've looked at thousands of properties, right? And then it kind of clicked. How can I get this done without doing any of the work? Okay. Any guesses? Put it into the chat. How can you get stage 1 done without doing any of the work? Okay. So stage 1, I would guess probably a lot of you are under this stage. Is there anybody here that has a facility under contract right now? Put it into the chat, all right, and let me know. Otherwise, if you own a facility, put it into the chat and let me know. And if you don't, then everybody's in stage 1, right? And the truth is that once you go through this cycle, I've been through this cycle 16 times. All right, so I've been through this cycle 16 times with storage, right? And right, and so you just keep, and then this one, the stage 1 here, I mean, the first time that you do this, it just takes forever, right? Because your hardest purchase is always your first one, right? And then every time that you go out, every time you say, yeah, I'm going to go out and buy a property, it gets easier and easier and easier. But the first time is always the hardest, right? And the first time, the truth is, right, is the first time, if you don't follow through, if you don't keep pushing, if you don't keep looking, if you don't keep making offers, then essentially most people just give up. All right. Most people give up in stage 1 and they never actually get a facility under contract. Okay. So I want to get you to the point where you do get a facility under contract. The success, right? Okay. So let's get you to be successful. Okay. How should I do that? Right there. Okay. Let's get you to be successful. So stage 1, the goal is to get a facility under contract. This is the goal. And you do this in stages. You do this in steps, right? Okay. So the first step, right, is that you have to find a storage facility to buy, right? That's the thing. It's like, where do I find these facilities to buy? All right, so let's talk about that. Step one, there's two different ways, really. I mean, in the coaching program and in the course, we go over 15 different ways to find storage facilities. I'm going to go over like the two major ones, right? But you can either find a facility by going directly to the owner. That's what I teach, right? You go directly to the owner. In fact, I was on a coaching call earlier with one of my students, and he joined a Turnkey Acquisitions. He joined Storage Nerds like a month ago. And this guy, the thing is that, he's open. He's open to whatever comes into his life. It's good, this type of person. He doesn't have a limited beliefs. He doesn't have a lot of limited beliefs, but he doesn't have limits on like what he can do or what he can buy or what he's interested. He just is like, look, I want to buy a storage facility. Like, let's just get out there and start looking for a facility. Okay. I don't know what is going to come across my plate, but the truth is like the more limits that you put on what's going to come across your plate, then the smaller your buy box is. And I talk about this all the time. Your buy box has to be big, especially right now. But he came into the coaching program like a month ago, and he just had a really big buy box. And so we sent him a facility, and we went over it together, took a look at it, and he got it under contract. So really within 1 month of joining Storage Nerds, he had a facility under contract. And the great thing about it is that he picked it up for $2.3 million, which I get is a lot of money for a lot of people, right? But he picked it up. But the thing is he picked it up for $2.3 million. Just imagine this, okay? $2.3 million. The appraisal is $3.8 million. Okay. And the good thing is I just talked to him this morning, and the bank is giving him an SBA loan. And the SBA loan, because his credit is so good and because of how much money he has with his bank, he got basically prime. That's what he got. So he's at like 7.5 to 8% interest, which is basically what you would get for a conventional loan, but he got it for an SBA loan. And the good thing is that for SBA, you only have to put 10% down. So he's buying a $2.3 million facility, and he has to come up with $250,000. That's it. And the value of that property is already at $3.8 million, as is right now, right? So he got a smoking hot deal, and he still has, it's a mismanaged facility that's like maybe 50% full. So he's going to be able to double the value of that property pretty quickly and only have to put $250,000 down. So what I'm saying is that those deals are out there. How do you find them? How do you find these deals? And it could be a $200,000 deal or a $2 million deal. The concept is the exact same thing, okay? So the way that he found them is exactly what I said. We go directly to the owner. And then I was talking to him today too, and he was like, Stacy, he's like, he's bought a lot of properties, like $100 million worth of properties. It's like, I bought $100 million worth of property in the last 30 years or whatever. He's like, but I've never, ever bought a property where I went directly to the owner. I always have had a broker find me properties that I can buy. He's like, and I'm going to tell you that being able to just call the owner up and talk to the owner, he's like, I've never had that before. I've never been able to just call and talk to the owner, and it's just like amazing. He's like, we get stuff done so quickly, and we're just working together, and it's like amazing. He's like, typically I would tell the realtor, and the realtor would go tell them, and then come back, and it'd be like 2, 3, 4 days later in order to get an answer on something. Right. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with brokers or anything, but that is the process. Like, you have this middle person that's kind of like controlling the whole situation. And I've hardly ever bought anything, especially on the storage side, one property through a realtor, and that's it. It was my very first property. But other than that, I just go directly to the owner, and it just really makes things so much easier. It really does. It makes things really easy. So we go directly to the owners, right? So you have to talk to owners, right? So find owners is step one. And then, or like what Carolyn writes is, can you look online, right? So you could say like Craxy, MLS, and, LoopNet, or a broker. which is really going through a broker, right? These are kind of the two ways that you're going to find property, the two main ones. And all the different ways that you do that kind of fall under each of these two categories. Okay. So, obviously, you can go online and you can look at all these different properties on all these different websites. And then you can call the owner, you can call the broker, talk to the broker, get the information so you can run the deal analysis. Or you can call the owner directly. All right. So we're going to say they're going to call the owner directly. Okay, so how do you find these owners, right? That's the question, is that there's only a few ways to find owners. Okay, and so what you have to do is you have to figure out all these different ways. Now in the course we go over all of them, but essentially the job is that you have to build a list. You have to do Google Earth, Google Maps, driving for storage, all the different ways that we talk about finding owners. That's what you have to do. All right, so you have to build this list, of owners of storage. Okay, right? How you do that, there's a lot of different ways, and I've taught this many times, but this is really the main step, is finding the owners and building the list and creating a list of owners that you can contact directly to see if they want an offer. Right, so step 3 is, do you want an offer? Does owner want offer? Now notice that I said, does owner want offer? Right, Chandra says, do you want to know do you want to sell? Nobody wants to sell their property, but owners definitely want offers for sure. All right, they don't know if they want to sell. All right, they don't know if they want to sell until they see the number that you give them, right? So you always want to, when you talk to an owner, you want to lead with, would you be interested in getting an offer on the property? Okay, so that's really what it is step 1 is find the owners. Step 2 is building a list of owners, right? And step 3 is really calling the owners to see if they want to get an offer on their property. Okay, and then step 4, and I've been over in the course, there's scripts on what to say to the owner, there's a call sheet, there's all kinds of stuff. All right, whole bunch of stuff that you need. Does the owner want an offer? Okay, and so then you call the owner and you say, hey, this is Stacy, like I'm just calling around all the owners in the area and just seeing if you're interested in getting an offer on your property. All right, and they say, yeah, I'd be interested in getting an offer. Sure, I'll entertain an offer. And it's like, okay, great. So these are the things that I need in order to run deal analysis. Now, when you're calling an owner, you can't be like, hey, send me over all your P&Ls, send me your financials. I mean, they're not going to send all their financials to some stranger on the phone. Right? If you want financials, if you're the person that's like, I want financials, I want P&L, I want balance sheet, I want rent rolls, I want tax returns, I want it all so I can look at it all. Right? Then you need to be looking at facilities on Crexi, MLS, and LoopNet, or going through a broker. That's their job, is to put the package together for you. Remember, we're just cold calling. We're just calling random owners and seeing if they want to get an offer, right? So they're not going to be like, oh yeah, let me send all that stuff over. No, they're not going to do that, okay? So instead, you're like, these are the things that I need in order to run deal analysis. Look, all I want to do is just give you an offer. Like, the truth is I need to really see your financials and see it all, but I could give you an offer. And then based on the numbers that you tell me, this is the offer that I'm going to get. Now, the truth is, when I look at all the numbers, like when I look at everything and really do due diligence, like the offer could change. Okay. But for now, let me just make an offer to you, because remember, we don't make one offer, we make 5 different offers, right? A cash offer, some creative deal structures, and a bank financing offer, or maybe we have a private lender, or whatever it is. So we don't make one offer, we make 5 different offers. That's what the deal analyzer does. Okay, so and then what you need is just a few items in order to make deal analysis, in order to run deal analysis, right? So you need to be able to get the information from the owner to run deal analysis, right? You need to have like your vacancy, you need to have the square footage, You need to have the purchase price, You need to have the cap, I guess the market cap rate. Okay, and then you need to have like the competition analysis or competitive analysis done. You need to have unit mix, sorry, wrong one. And let's see what else. And then the competitive analysis is going to get you the opportunity, right? This you don't really get from the owner. Okay, this you just get, but you can ask the owner, what is your vacancy? What's your total square footage? What's your purchase price? What's your unit mix? You can always ask them for expenses, but I mean, essentially we just run our numbers at a certain percentage for expenses. And then, based on the size of the facility, it's either 30 to, 35% or something like this. Okay. But you could say expenses. But I'm going to tell you, most owners are not going to sit there and give you all their expenses. You should just know that you're running your numbers based on the size of the facility at 30% of your expense. Your income is your expenses, right? And because we want a quick offer. I mean, the truth is you really only need like this much right here. You need vacancy. Oh yeah, total number of units. Total units. You need like this right here is kind of what you need. If I can get this stuff right here, actually you really don't even need this. That's not true. Yeah. So if I can get this stuff right here, vacancy, square foot, and total units, I should be able to just give a quick offer, right? And income. Crap, I didn't put income on here. And income. Okay, this is it right here is what you need. Okay, and then this is how you're doing your deal analysis. This is really kind of deep deal analysis. But your vacancy, your income, your square footage, and your total number of units you can get from the owner, right? And then you come up with the purchase price yourself, or they could give you the purchase price, right? And then you figure out what your cap rate is based on where the location is and the type of the population. You can get your unit mix, you can get the unit mix from the owner, right? You can say that you could get from the owner. And you could also get prices from the owner. Give me the prices of your units and give me your unit mix and your prices. And then you could get the expenses, right? But this is really kind of the bulk of what you need. Now, if you get the deal analyzer, you just fill all this stuff in, or you find your own deal analyzer and you just run the numbers. But overall, this is really a good list of what you need to run deal analysis. Okay. Okay. And so then you get the deal analysis and you run it and then you make an offer. I mean, that's it. You just like send out an offer. Now we do 5 offers. We do 4 to 5 offers. We do 1 cash, 1 bank, and then we do 3 creative deal structures is how we do it. Okay. But you have 5 offers. This right here is called the magic letter. This is inside the deal analyzer, but like you just want to make sure you're making a whole bunch of different offers. Okay. And you just run different scenarios based off of how much money you want to make or how much money the owner wants to make. Okay. That I go into depth in the deal analysis course, but this is what you do is you make the offer. And then after you make the offer, right, you wait, you say, okay, look, I got all your information. Thank you so much. I'm going to make your offer within the next day or 2. You send over the offer to the owner. The offer looks at it and they say, well, I really want this price, but I am open to some creative deal structures, and so then you negotiate, right? You're negotiating with the owner. So it's like, oh yeah, well, what if you do this? What if you try this? We typically just hop on Zoom and meet, or we go out there and meet the owners and we talk, discuss it. But a lot of times we just meet on Zoom and we just discuss it is what we do. Okay. It's a lot of discussion going back. What do you feel comfortable with? How much money do you want to make? And then does the number work or not? You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times if you're offering some creative deal structures, like the owner is open to, coming up with some ideas. So for instance, like we have one in Oklahoma right now where the owner wants $650,000. And the student, she took the information to her local bank, and her local bank said that they would lend on $550,000. So we went back to the owner and told him, and he said, look, I want $650,000. So that $100,000, I'll just seller finance it. I'll do a second on the back end. So then we negotiated like no payments for 6 months. And we said, okay, look, like, okay, if we can get $100,000 with no payments on the for 6 months and amortize it over 20 years, like, then we'd be able to afford it. He's like, yeah, that's fine. We could do like a 5-year balloon. And so she went back to the bank just to make sure that she could have a second on the back end. And her bank said, yeah, that's fine. So she's going to pick up a facility that, it's really worth $1 million, but right now it's only worth like, 550 grand to a bank. And then she's going to be able to close on it. And the owner is going to do a second on the back end to close on it. So that is part of the creative deal structures that we do. And in the offer letter, you can't explain that, but the offer letter, what it does is really opens up the mind to, hey, yeah, I am open to a creative deal structure. And that's where the negotiation comes in. That's where you talk to the owners back and forth, and just come up with like deals and say, what if we do this? Because a lot of the times you either want to make sure your cash flow is working well, or you want to make sure, whatever, or maybe the owner wants a specific monthly payment. He says, look, we have one right now where the owner's like, I want $4,000 a month. Do whatever you need to do in order to get me $4,000 a month. Right. So that's kind of how it works too. So that comes in with the creative deal structures. Okay. And that is explained thoroughly in the course and the deal analyzer as well. So if you really want to learn about that, and then also in Storage Nerds as a student, we have a boot camp. It's like a funding boot camp, and that's what I talk about is creative deal structures, because that's like my favorite thing. Is trying to come up. How can I buy a storage facility with no money in the deal? That's my favorite thing. Okay. So then negotiate it. You go back and forth. You negotiate with the owner, and then finally you get it under contract. Right. Okay, so this 7-step process, okay, that we just went through, finding the owners, building the list, calling the owners, doing the deal analysis, running the deal analysis, and then putting the offer in, negotiating with the owner, and getting it under contract. This is stage 1. This is what you're going to be doing over and over and over again in order to find a facility that you can buy. Okay. And this is just a numbers game. That's it. It's just a numbers game. And the more that you can, more people that you have, more facilities that you have on your list, the more times you call the owner, the more times that you run deal analysis and put offers in, the more chances you are going to be able to find a facility to get it under contract. Okay, this is stage 1. This is the hardest part of the entire process. Okay, and so this is a grind. We talk about real estate. It's like, I gotta grind. I'm grinding, and I'm like, I'm tired of grinding. So I'm tired of grinding. I don't want to grind anymore. All right, I'm done grinding. All right, so I hire virtual assistants to do this. I hire virtual assistants to do all this. That is the secret sauce. The secret to success is delegating. I'm going to tell you it's delegating, because the truth of the matter is that you cannot do all this. Now, obviously you can do all of this, but today's market requires putting in a lot of offers. And our goal is always 1 offer per week, right? 1 offer per week. And if you have to put in 1 offer a week, think about how many calls you have to make on a weekly basis. It's typically 50 for every 50 calls you make. For every 50 owners that you talk to, 1 is going to want an offer. It's not how many calls you make. It's how many owners that you talk to. It's a 50-to-1 ratio. Okay. And so, because you're just cold calling. Okay, so obviously it takes a little bit more effort and work on the front end, but the truth is that when you go directly to the owners, you just have so much more leverage on, really, and see what happens is that when you're going, like when you're doing Crexy, LoopNet, and MLS, the broker already got a hold of them. I saw that last year in one of my students. We picked up a 630 unit facility for $3 million. We ran the numbers and it was worth $6 million. I was like, you got to buy this facility. And then she took it from 300,000. That's my dog if she keeps coughing. We took it from $300,000 to $450,000 a year annually. Okay. And so then, like, after a year and a half, she's like, I think I could probably sell this thing. Let's sell it. So she went to Marcus and Millichap. They said, we can sell this thing for $7.2 million. All right. And I was like, $7.2 million? That is crazy. And they're like, yeah, that's how the market is. It's crazy right now. And this was like last time, this was like August of last year. So the market was still a little bit crazy. So then they went out and started, like, pitching their deal and pushing it and stuff. And in the end, they had like 3 offers at $6 million. And I was like, you have to take this deal. You're going to make $3 million in a year and a half. And you know what she did? She didn't take the deal because she had $7.2 million stuck in her mind that that's what she was going to make on the deal. Okay, I'm telling you, that is exactly the same story that's the same thing that brokers do for all the properties on Crexi, MLS, and LoopNet. All right, the broker always thinks that they can get way more money than what everybody says. Nothing wrong with commercial real estate, but I mean, they got to pay their due, they got to pay for them, and it's like a whole thing, right? So, so that deal, I mean, just think about it. Like that deal, if it went directly to the owner, what would the owner sell it for? So like my student that just picked up this $2.3 million deal, he knows the property is valued at $3.8 million because he has the appraisal that shows that. Right. And he still sold it for $2.3 million to us because first, he really liked Rick. And second of all, like he wanted to sell it to a local person. First of all, he said he talked to a lot of brokers, but he wanted to sell it to somebody local, and they are in the same city. They live in Dallas, and he just wanted to work. He just wanted to work with us. He really wanted to work with us. So I mean, that's what happens when you go to owners. You get rocking good deals. All right. Whereas on the Crexi and LoopNet, it's just harder. Okay. All right. So now we're going to talk about virtual assistants. Okay. That's what I want to talk about today for the last couple of minutes is hiring a VA to help you do this. So when you are out there looking for deals, all right, like you're just in your mind, okay, you're the person that's like, look, I'm going to do this. I want to buy a storage facility. Like I just have this calling. Storage is calling me right now, right? This is how I feel. And then you get out there and start looking, and it's just like you finally find something, and then you're like, okay, now I got to go through and like get all the information and run the deal analysis, and it's just taking forever to get anything done. Right. And you realize that, like, you are probably not the fastest person to do all of stage 1 or get it all done. Or you're putting in offers and it's just not working out. Right. You may be putting offers in on Crexi or LoopNet or something. It's just not working out. Right. It is time for you to consider delegating some of these tasks. All right. And a lot of people with delegating, they have a very, very difficult time doing this. My husband is one of these people, honestly. He was horrible at delegating because he always thinks he can do it better. And the truth of the matter is that he can do it better, right? He can do it better, right? Because he knows what he's doing. But in order to be able to do all the things that he needs to do or we need to do or whatever it is that we have planned, we need to be able to, to get somebody to help us do it. We can't do it all, right? And so he has, over the course of the last couple of years, we've hired a lot of people on our management side. And I'm going to tell you, I can tell that hiring these people instead of him doing it all has really kind of just made him feel better about everything as well, too. He's not so stressed out. He's not stressed out about it. And gives them kind of a peace of mind. And really, it kind of takes the relief of like so much stress off your shoulders. And hiring people to help you is really not that expensive. I know. And so what I do when I hire virtual assistants is and this is exactly what happened with my turnkey acquisitions. And so if people don't know what turnkey acquisitions is, it's a program within Storage Nerds where my virtual assistants do all of stage 1. And it's lead generation. They find you deals that you can purchase, right? So we're sending you leads of owners, and also, we're getting you all the way through getting it under contract is what we're doing. Okay. So we have 15 people. I have 15 virtual assistants that do this. And so the way that it worked with me, my very first virtual assistant that I hired, okay, and this was back now I've had virtual assistants my whole life, but I'm talking about to do stage 1. My very first virtual assistant that I hired, all right, when I went onto Upwork, right, so I'm going to say hiring virtual assistants, all right, the very first thing that I did was I went onto Upwork and I placed an ad there. It's completely free to put an ad on Upwork. And Upwork is like a freelance website where freelancers come at any type of task, any type of deal. Has anybody heard of Upwork? Has anybody used Upwork, and for what? I hire all my virtual assistants we've hired through Upwork. I just hired an editor to help me edit my book. I've hired CFOs. I've hired my CPA, Adam, who's who's an amazing person, part of our team, all came from Upwork. Okay. So Upwork is where you're going to go and you're going to post for free, your task. You're going to start with just a task. And now the list of what the steps are. Your task for your virtual assistant is going to be building a list of owners and finding owners that you can call. That's Lulu. That you can call. So that I would just put an ad on Upwork and say, look, this is kind of my philosophy. This is my thought process. I want to buy commercial real estate, and I need somebody to help me build a list of properties. You're going to have to do this manually, right? By, all the different ways that you decide to do it, Google Earth or whatever. And I'm going to teach you how to build this list of owners so that I can call them and talk to them, or they can call and talk to you. And they can do that as well too, right? But the first step is going to be building the list of owners. And you could do that in a whole bunch of different ways, whichever way works for you. But you'd say, okay, the job post is going to say help me build list of owners. And I'm going to tell you, get a plethora of people that are interested all over the country, right? And then you have to do a ridiculous amount of interviews. Okay. And, and then you'll have interviews and then you have a budget. You can say, look, I only can afford $5 or $6 or $7 an hour. Typically, it's anywhere from $5 to $7 an hour across the country. Across the globe. All right. So maybe $5 to $7 an hour. And maybe you can only afford, 20 hours a week at $5 an hour. That's $100. Right? You can only afford so much money. So you say, look, this is all the money. This is all I can afford. So that means that you can work maybe 1 day or 2 days a week for me. And your job is going to be building a list of owners. And you're going to show them how to go on Google Maps and find facilities, or you show them how to go on Google Earth. And you're going to show them how to go on the Facebook Marketplace, or, whatever it is that you want to do. All right. And then it's very task oriented. And it can be anywhere from $5 to $7. This is your budget. All right. And it's very, very simple to manage these people and make sure they can get on either Zoom or Skype or whatever you're using to manage, to meet and stuff. And then you'll meet with them and you'll go over what you need, and then you'll just have them build this list. And it could take a week or maybe 2 or 3 weeks or whatever it does, depending on the area, the size of the area. And then it's really just a test to see if this person is fitting in with what your expectations are. Okay, so for instance, I hired Karen, who's my very first virtual assistant in turnkey acquisitions, and I gave her a job of making this spreadsheet with owners and whatever it is that we had her do, right? And she worked on the spreadsheet, and she sent me the spreadsheet the next week, and it was the most beautiful spreadsheet in the world. And I was oh my God, this amazing spreadsheet. It's so organized. And I was like, man, this is an amazing spreadsheet, And I was like, let's give her some more tasks and see if she can do this. And I started giving her like a couple more little tasks, really testing her. And she just did like super awesome on like all these tasks that I was giving her. And it had to do with like all the stage 1 stuff. Whatever came up, and I was like, look, I ain't got no time for that. Let me just delegate that to her. And so over the course of maybe 1 or 2 months, I really kind of got a feel for, how she worked and what her expectations were and what mine were. And did she live up to them? And stuff. Was she open to like working with me? And then after a couple months of doing some tasks, then I said, would you be interested in calling owners? Because she had kind of like a customer support background. She did like and she's from the Philippines, right? So like, and then they do a lot of like phone stuff. And so they do a lot of customer support. And she was totally okay. She was totally okay with calling owners. And her English was not like perfect, but it was okay. And the thing is like, she's been working with me now for almost 2 years, like a year and a half. Her English is like super good now, it's like, yeah. And so, she speaks English very, very well, so like, you just have to have patience with virtual assistants. The truth is, and I tell this to Pete, I tell this to all my students, your team is only as good as the amount of time and leadership that you spend with them, right? Because if you just never meet them and just expect them to do stuff, then it's not going to be as good. But I meet with all my virtual assistants every week, and I work with them and make sure that they're always growing, they're always changing, we're updating stuff, we're getting better on the phones, this kind of stuff. So anyway, so that's basically what it is. I hired the virtual assistant to build the list. And then after she built the list for a few months, then I started doing cold calling, right? So stage 1 was I had her build the list. And then stage 2 was cold calling. And then we started really working on her calling owners to see if from the list that she has, if the owners wanted to get an offer. That was it. I was like, just call them up, and then also you can just look on the website and see if there's an email. You can email them. I set her up with Just Call. I don't know if you guys have heard of Just Call, but this is like a Just Call. Just Call, but there's all kinds of them. It's the phone system, and it's called Just Call. Okay, so you can change. I set her up with Just Call is what I did. So Just Call is the phone system where you can call out. And the reason I like Just Call is because it records the calls, so I can listen to them. But you're not really supposed to do that. But I did it anyways. And then that way I could listen to see if she was okay on the phone and stuff. And so now you have access to Just Call, but there's like a plethora. There's Call Rail, there's like Ring Central, there's all kinds of stuff that you could use. And then she started calling the owners, and this is when she started like really getting some traction. She started finding owners that wanted offers. Right. And I would say, look, just call them up and just say, look, I work with Stacy. And like we own X amount of storage facilities. We're trying to find some more storage facilities. So my question to you is, would you be interested in getting an offer from us? Like that's Stacy's looking to buy more facilities in your area. And so that's what she would do, is just call owners and stuff. And she started finding owners, she started getting leads, really is what it was. Okay. And so together we would run the deal analysis. Together, we would work on how to do the deal analyzer and put all the information into the deal analyzer. And it took her a couple of months to get the hang of it, because it's hard to learn. But, she really started getting very good at filling out the deal analyzer. And the deal analyzer is really not that difficult, but for her to know if it's a good deal, that was kind of the hard part, right? And then, yes, somebody asked about scripts. I have done several videos in the coaching program. Sorry, not the coaching. It's in the coaching program, but in the course or the coaching program on scripts. All right, so that's where I have all my scripts at. So all my scripts that like Karen and all my virtual assistants use are all in there. And then you come up with scripts, because the truth is that it's really kind of the same thing over and over. So her day, typically our virtual assistant's day is, building a list of anywhere from 20 to 30 facilities a day and adding to the list. And then on top of that, calling those owners. So I don't have them anymore just calling all day long because they would just get sick and tired of it, right? So their day is really kind of super mixed right now. It's like getting up and then building, you're trying to find some owners, doing virtual driving for storage and trying to find owners. I only really have them doing virtual driving for storage. That's it. I don't have them doing any other way to find property, just virtually, like on Google Maps or Google Earth. And it's super time consuming to do that. So who wants to do that all day? Nobody, right? So a couple of hours of doing that until they have 20 or 30 facilities. And then they call and they talk to the owners and they try to talk to the owners. And then what they do is they send me an end of shift report, which we call the EOS. They send me every day an end of shift report. And the end of shift report is going to be hot leads, warm leads, and cold leads. Cold. Okay. And it's like, okay, I can tell that she has like 0 hot leads today. She had one more a warm lead and she had 30 cold leads. Okay, so I know like how many. And then of course we have a way to add all of these facilities that she's buying over and over to the list. So I mean, essentially we've called every storage facility in the country, all right, pretty much, but we have like a software we put everything into the software. But in the beginning, you just have a spreadsheet. You just put everything on the spreadsheet, you use OneDrive or Google Drive, and you just share everything that way. And then as you have this spreadsheet, right? Then you have and she, of course, remember, she was amazing at spreadsheets. So she really took really good care of the spreadsheet. But you're going to have it kind of look like this, right? And then, you're not, you're going to have like the name of the facility and you're going to have like the address, right? And you're going to have the, if you get into the course, you get this spreadsheet, it's in there, but you get like a real spreadsheet, but address, and then you're going to have like the website, the phone number, email. And then you're going to have we always put the star rating, we put the reviews, we put the business, Google business listing is filled out. And then you just keep adding, our spreadsheet is like massive, huge. Like as I go through, I'm like, oh yeah, I want this, I want this, I want this. So we have like all these columns of all these different things. And then that way you can sort in different ways because we like to look at facilities based on like Google reviews or stars. If they have a lot of bad reviews, then we think that's like somebody that we can call, right? So that'd be considered, one of these leads that we have, right? So, and then she would just manage this. She would put all her names on her list. And actually what we did, just so everybody knows, we would do it by state, right? If we went into other states, and we also did it by population. Because me, it's all about primary, secondary, and tertiary markets, right? And so we knew that it was like 100,000 or less, it was a secondary market, and like 25,000 or less, that was a tertiary market. And sometimes you would see different cities, and then you would say like, oh, in like Georgia, in Waycross, there's 15 storage facilities, but the same size town over here has only 6 storage facilities. And so you can kind of see when you start looking at things like that, is like, the opportunity. Why does this one only have 6 and this one have 15? It's the same size population, this kind of stuff, right? And so she started doing that for me. She really started helping me to look at the market and where we could be focusing our energy and stuff. And so the virtual assistants, they do this. That's what they do, is they keep track of all this for us. And then they give us this end of shift report. Every day it's an end of shift, not only to me, but also to my students and turnkey. And then we can keep track of that, right? And then obviously, that now they go through all of this, right? They do all 7 stages, but to get them to be able to do all 7 stages took like a year, right? So they're not going to know how to, do a contract or write deal analysis. So it's micro steps. So with virtual assistants, right, you just have to know it's micro steps. Okay, that's it. And so you hire, your first step to hiring a virtual assistant is to go onto Upwork and post a job and say, hey, I'm looking for somebody that can help me build a list of owners. And then pick somebody and just test them out. And if you don't like them in the next week or 2, then just pick somebody else, or get 2 people if you can afford, $5 each or something. and then you could just test them both out and see which one you like the best. And maybe one of them is good at building the list and the other one is good at cold calling or whatever, so then you can test them out. But you really only need one, and then you just do micro steps to building them up. And obviously this clicks, me delegating this out and having somebody do all of this. And this through like all steps 4 and 5, this is just filling out the deal analyzer. Training the virtual assistant to put the numbers that you get from the owner into the deal analyzer, right? And also another thing that they do, I'll put this here, is we put everything into a Google Drive folder. And I've taught this many, many times in my coaching class, but like there's a Google Drive folder with all the docs in it. And so I have access to the Google Drive folder. I have access to the deal analyzer. I have access to the executive summary. We always do an executive summary for every facility, and everything that I need in order to make a decision on whether or not the deal is good is going to be in the Google Drive folder. And so if everything that I need is in the Google Drive folder, that means that everything that the lender needs is in the Google Drive folder. And it also means everything that the buyer needs is in the Google Drive folder. So that is why we have a Google Drive folder. You can use OneDrive or whatever you want to use. We use Google right now. And so you want to have them build out this Google Drive folder, right? Have them create the web sheet, what that means, the spreadsheet, tell you their end of shift report so you know how many leads and what they're doing. And this is kept on a spreadsheet as well too, right? So we got a lot of spreadsheets, honestly. We got a lot of spreadsheets that we look at. So I want to see end of shift numbers. I want to see the list of all the owners. I want to have the Google Drive folder, right? And then Just Call and all these different types of phone services, they keep track of like you can see how many calls they're making, right? They're calling 100 owners a week or 50 owners a week or whatever it is, and you can see that as well too. All right, so you're always looking at their numbers so that you can improve, right, on the analytics as well too, and you show them. It's like, look, I see here in Just Call, you did like 200 calls this week, but last week you did 100 calls. Like, what's the difference between last week and this week? What did you do differently, right? So, I was working on 2 deals, and I got some information. I got 2 Google Drive folders I'm working on. That kind of stuff. Okay. So obviously you're starting out with step 1, right? And then you're moving to step 2. So you're doing your micro steps. Okay. So you got 2 options now for stage 1. Stage 1, the steps and you can just do it yourself. Okay. DIY it. Okay. Or you can hire a virtual assistant, delegate this stage off, and you be the one that makes the final decision on whether or not you want to move forward on this deal. All right. And then what that does is that frees up your time to look for money, because your job actually as a commercial real estate investor is to be a fundraiser. Because if you don't have money, then you can't buy your deals. So my job in all of the companies that we have, my job is fundraiser. All right. And then I delegated finding deals off. And then my husband is the running part, right? So find them, fund them, run them. This is find them. This is my 15 virtual assistants. I'm the funding, and my husband is the running part. All right. And that's how we do so many deals. This right here is the reason why we are so successful. We hire people to help us. We do not do it all ourselves. I know it's scary to delegate and to relinquish control of you being the person that can do it. But the truth is that you will be more successful if you can hire other people to do portions of what needs to get done. Okay. And that is my final thought for today. Okay. So I appreciate you guys all listening till the end. I got to hop off. I got a meeting with an owner of a facility, so I got to hop off. All right. I appreciate it. Make sure you go to my website, stacyrossetti.com, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Storage Nerds. Hope this informative conversation inspired you to go out there and jump into this highly profitable business venture that people rarely talk about. Get more tips on storage space investing at www.stacyrossetti.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave a rating. Together, let's build that thriving passive income one storage space at a time. Until next time.